The purpose of this video is to go over everything that we know thus far about the Homeowner Assistance Fund. We are hearing lots of talk about this plan. We've been hearing that there's $10 billion of money coming to all of the individual states, and I just want to go over everything that's been announced this far by the federal government. So when our country started going through the COVID-19 pandemic, the federal government issued a plan called the American Rescue Plan. And as part of the American Rescue Plan, they allocated almost $10 billion under a bill called the Homeowner Assistance Fund, abbreviated as HAF, capital HAF. The Homeowner Assistance Fund is money that is targeted and going to be used to, as the federal government says, promote housing stability. I'm going to go over kind of the specific examples that they've given around how they view this money is going to be used. The first thing to understand is that individual states are going to decide kind of the eligibility requirements, how to apply for the money, and each state is going to be allotted different amounts of money. The minimum amount of money each state can get is $50 million. Some states will receive more than $50 million, and they're going to base who gets more based on the numbers of unemployment rates and the numbers of mortgages that are more than 30 days in default. So if you're in a state that has a lot of unemployed people, if it's been difficult for you to get a job out there and your state has high numbers of mortgages that are in default, you likely will receive more funding from this program. The individual states, though, are going to decide and they're going to administer the funds. So we are waiting now until spring of 2022 to figure out how each state's going to allocate the funds, how much money each state gets. When Washington's gets decided, I will definitely be posting about it so you guys in my state out there understand kind of what's available. The purpose of the Homeowner Assistance Fund, again, is to promote housing stability. And these are some examples of things that the government has said this money should be used for. Mortgage payment assistance, homeowner association dues assistance, eviction prevention, utility assistance and homeowners insurance, and facilitating the reinstatement of a mortgage following a COVID-19 forbearance. So real generally, if you've been somebody who's prioritized your mortgage payments, but you've fallen behind on utilities or homeowners association dues or insurance, you might be able to receive some of these funds to help you kind of catch up on those. If you're somebody that's behind on your mortgage and you're not able to kind of reinstate the mortgage or work out a plan with your lender, you might be able to receive some of these funds. What's important to understand is you have options right now, regardless of this fund, to get current with your mortgage lender without having to pay your balance. I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of this video. But the purpose of these money is to kind of help do these things. For renters out there might be some eviction assistance. And for those of you who took a COVID-19 forbearance, there might be some money to help reinstate the loan. We don't know how much money and we don't know what the requirements are going to be to receive the money. We have a couple ideas issued by the government that I'm going to talk about now. So eligibility requirements for the HAF money has to do with mortgage principal balance. So I have more about this posted on my blog and on my website, but generally if your mortgage balance was below about $548,000 in 2021, you should be able to qualify for HAF. If you owe more than $548,000 on your mortgage, you might not qualify for these funds. Additionally, the federal government is saying that this money should be targeted toward homeowner households. We don't know exactly what this means at this point, but my guess is at this point, rental properties or vacant second properties might not qualify for assistance. Likely they're going to use this money to help people maintain their primary residence. So if you have a vacant property or a rental property, you probably want to start figuring out a different solution at this point. The other kind of target for this money is going to be towards socially disadvantaged individuals. They use the Small Business Association's definition for socially disadvantaged individuals. I'm just going to read that definition now. So a socially disadvantaged individual is for those who have been subjected to racial or ethnic prejudice or cultural bias because of their identity as a member of a group without regard to their individual qualities. So if you feel like you are somebody that is a socially disadvantaged individual and you're having trouble maintaining housing stability, you might be able to get a little bit more of these funds. There's also going to be income requirements to receive money. So the way that they're going to probably determine the income requirements are going to be based on what's called the AMI, which is the area median income. What that means is in your region where you live, there's a median, kind of an average income in your region. If your income is well over that average, you might not qualify for this assistance. They're trying to target people who are not bringing in very much money, whose income is below the area median income. They're also kind of using the median income of our country to determine who should be eligible for these funds. The median income for our country right now is $31,000, around there. So if you make much more than $31,000, you might not be eligible for these funds. These funds are really being targeted toward people who make less than $31,000 or less than that area median income. In big cities where the area median income might be higher just because the cost of living is higher, there might be a different income eligibility requirement. But again, that will be kind of decided by the states. So if you're somebody who thinks you might qualify for this, that's great. It's good that the government is giving funds to help people, especially because the pandemic impacted all of us in kind of such meaningful ways. But the other thing I want to communicate right now is there are ways right now to transition off of a COVID forbearance plan and get current with your mortgage lender without waiting on these funds. These funds aren't going to be available until the spring, and that would be like the earliest possible time frame you could receive funds. If you are off of your COVID forbearance plan, or if your COVID forbearance plan is ending, you need to be transitioning now so you don't end up right up against a foreclosure timeline trying to apply for these funds. We also don't know how much of these funds each individual person is going to get. So if you have an issue with like a full 18 months of missed payments, you might want to look at loss mitigation options now to resolve the default. Things like loan modifications, things like partial claims, things like payment deferrals. There are programs run by your mortgage investors right now to help transition you off of those plans and back to just making regular payments. I have tons of videos posted about those options. I would watch those. Personally, if you're somebody who's feeling like this money might be helpful, that very well could be the case, but you don't want to just sit by and hope that funds will come to you. You always want to be proactive and make sure you have a plan. If you are a Washington State homeowner who knows you're having trouble paying your mortgage or you're having trouble transitioning off of your COVID forbearance plan, reach out to me and we can definitely just chat about what's going on to make sure you have the help that you need. Good luck.